Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence the 17th, and I just got back from seeing a number of people speak at Cal State Northridge at their beautiful theater there. One of whom was from Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary. And I got to tell you, he really changed my opinion about him after watching him speak tonight. The first two people were among the most polished pitchmen I've seen. One guy was pitching a real estate course on what was called snap flipping. Okay, not for me. And the other one was talking about options trading, which I found interesting. Both of them were like, "Hey, come up on stage and buy our stuff," and a lot of people did. It was a free event, so it was packed. There were 1,500 people there, and Kevin O'Leary was the last one to speak. And I got to tell you, I've watched Shark Tank for the last 10 years, and I knew that Kevin O'Leary was the guy who brought it to ABC, having done it in Canada. He purchased the concept from, or licensed the concept from the Dragon Dens people in the UK, which I also have watched for a long time. I love the whole idea. And the thing is, when I would watch Shark Tank, I hated Kevin. I mean, who would want to work with a guy like that? He was so nasty all the time. I even told Betsy if we ever took Rehearsal Pro on Shark Tank, the first thing I would say was, "Sharks, hang on one second. Mr. Wonderful, you're out. Just so you know." And then just pitch to the other ones. Probably wouldn't work out really well for me, but it would feel really good. Anyway, so I wasn't expecting much. The first two guys were really, really aggressive in their pitches. The first guy was one of the most polished, manic pitch guys I'd ever seen, and very, very, very systematic. And it showed because people streamed on stage for his $9.97 product. Probably 200 people, 100 or 200 people bought it. So then the second guy pitched, and a bunch of people came up and bought that. And I thought, well, I wonder what Kevin O'Leary is pitching. And it turns out Kevin O'Leary didn't pitch anything. I wrote a bunch of notes. Oh, here's my my VIP badge and my lanyard that I just took off. But I wrote notes. I didn't write notes with the first guy, and I wasn't expecting to write notes with Kevin O'Leary, but I did. And I want to share some of them with you. He really, really emphasized how important it is to do storytelling when pitching on an idea, whether it's an idea for a startup company or to fund a company or anything, whether it's, I want to do a new project, or I want to, get you to, contribute to a fund or to a charity. Telling a story really makes all the difference in the world. And he played a video of the Wicked Cupcakes mother and daughter team, who told a great story and changed, as he put it, everything about Shark Tank forever. He said to do this, you have to do a great story. You have to tell that story in 90 seconds or less when you're introducing it. Not the whole story, but just that intro story has to be 90 seconds or less, the explanation as to what it is and why you're the right team to execute that plan. And you have to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers and understand your business model. If you don't have those three things, it's really hard to get anybody to be persuaded to do what you want them to do. And knowing your numbers and knowing your business model isn't just for business. It's understanding anything that you would stand up in front of a group of people and do. If you're teaching, if you're promoting, if you're trying to persuade people to follow you down a path with your career. All of those things demand that people have faith in you and that people get the story and they connect with the story, right? So this was the first of several things that made me change my mind about Kevin O'Leary, right? He says that he does a yearly going concern test. I wrote out a lot of notes. A going concern test where he kills his babies if they're not working out. If he's not making any money with them, he may love the idea, but if it's just not working out, every year he does what's called a going concern test. Is it a going concern? Is it something that he can continue doing? He said he did a study, and he said that 95% of his income in his portfolio of companies, 95% of the income is from companies run by women. Now, the vast majority of his companies are run by women, but that means that 5% of his income is from companies run by men. That's really interesting. He said the reason is time management and having reasonable targets. Men tend to say, oh, next year we're going to increase by 30, 40%. And then they'll miss that target. But we got 18%. That was pretty good. Women, on the other hand, will say, we're hoping for 15%. It'd be great if we got 18%. And then when they get 20% and they constantly exceed those things, he's like, I love this. I love this. They're not, he called them testosterone laden targets that men come up with. And he said the biggest thing that he sees women doing that he doesn't see men doing in meetings, in management meetings, is shutting up and listening. Not just shutting up, but shutting up and listening. Women are much better listeners than the men are in his group. And he's trying to get them both to learn from each other. There are certain advantages that men have on a regular basis over women, acceptance by other men, things like that. But he sees this cross-pollination happening. And, I'm like, when is he going to pitch something to me? When is he going to say, come do the Kevin O'Leary learn how to play the guitar thing, or come buy my cupcakes or whatever? He never pitched anything, didn't do anything. And then he laid something on me, on the whole audience, that I thought was just amazing. I had no idea that it was this widespread, or that it was this dangerous, or this important to him. But he said there's a brand new line on the budget for businesses that work online. And that line is social media warfare and reputation protection. He said in the old days, if somebody had a complaint, they'd call up 1-800 customer service and they'd complain about a product or service that they had purchased from you. Today, they don't call toll-free numbers. They don't ask for help. Maybe they'll send you an email if they have your email address. But the first thing they do is get on social media and destroy your reputation. And he said he did a study of all of his companies and their social media interactions, and he found out that between 25 and 30% of all of the negative posts that are being posted about his companies, they weren't coming from customers. They were coming from organizations that were paid for by his competitors. And he got really deep into this stuff, and he said most people who have high profiles on social media are targets of this. There are companies out there that you don't know who their names are, you don't know what they're available online, you can find them and put them to use to kill your competition, and a lot of people do. And he said, I employ a professional wrestler, a 27-year-old female professional wrestler, to do my social media stuff because she's the one that understands it. I don't understand it. And she's the one that showed me all of these fake accounts and all that they were doing and who they were tied to. And he realized just how pervasive this problem is. And I got to tell you, I walked away thankful that my profile is either low enough that nobody cares to destroy my reputation, or that I do a good enough job that destroying my reputation isn't something that my competitors want to do. Or my competitors aren't competitive enough or sophisticated enough to know how to do it. I don't know, something there. But when I heard that, I was like, wow, that is so true. That today your reputation is almost more valuable than your product or service. And you want to think about that. I mean, I'm going to ask you to do that in the comments. I got a lot more things here that I may be sharing with you in future videos, but already I've overstayed my welcome. Tell me in the comments below as you watch this, what you do when you get upset with a customer, with a product or a service as a customer. Do you try to contact the company? Do you try to have them rectify it? Or do you just complain on social media? And if somebody complains about you on social media without giving you a chance to make it right, how does that make you feel? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to do that. I feel really dressed up, so I'm going to go change. But in the meantime, if you want to sign up for my YouTube channel, go ahead and click on my head there. If there's no head, there's probably a subscribe button somewhere on the screen. And if you want to see the latest video that I've put out, go ahead and click on that frame there, and YouTube will play it for you because that's what they do. They're really good at that. I'm David H. Lawrence the 17th, thinking much better of Mr. Wonderful. And I appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.